environment's point of views are shrouded in mist. Welcome to the Abyss Garden, a secluded land where we create endless pathways, unique cards made to inspire your stories and to help you nurture your own creativity. But today, we are actually not creating a new pathway card. For the last week, I've been trying to mimic an artist that I really love, from which I really love the creations. I believe it's actually one of the first artists that I discovered on DeviantArt, but he's actually on a lot of different platforms, and a really well-known artist. So the name that he goes by is AShipWright, and he really developed this amazing style that feels extremely full of details. So he does a lot also of tiny short videos where he shows the way that he's creating his creations, his illustrations. And so one of the first artists that I discovered on DeviantArt, and I remember going through all the hundreds and maybe by now 1,000 of drawings, and to really be able to see how this style developed. And it's quite amazing. So we often have in the scenes that this artist is creating unusual depictions. He's playing a lot with the format and the scale of things, and you often have these broken scenes. I'm not sure how to explain that. You have these boxes where he puts different elements and different point of views from the same scene that he did quite a lot, where he's able to show a scene through a lot of different angles, and it really feels like you are having a full story in one drawing, which is something that I would really love to be able to reproduce some years in the future, if I'm able to slowly acquire more knowledge and to slowly work on my creations, on some basic skills that I simply don't have at the moment. And so there were a few of his creations that I selected in order to try to mimic them. So the way I did it is like I did the last time, where I set just a 20-minute timer. I look at one of these creations and I try to replicate its essence. So I'm usually not able to do a full-on mimicking adventure. I'm really trying to force myself to not try to mimic line per line, but more the feeling of it. That's why I have this 20 minutes timer, so I wouldn't have time to do that. Even though it's hard to stop myself from just trying to replicate the lines. And so I selected a few of this person's illustrations. I try to pick quite different ones, some that use some color. So this artist also has this peculiar way of using color, where usually he only uses touches of it to really symbolize another element or another material that is used. So usually it's very unusual that his illustrations have more than one color. It's mainly black and white. And sometimes you have this pop of color that really adds a lot to the scene. So a few of them I'm quite happy with. You have, for example, this gigantic city shaped as a sword that comes out of the clouds. And I feel like I could try to kind of mimic the essence of a few of his drawings. But there's something that's really impressive when you see this person draw, especially its newest creations. It feels like all the lines are really extremely precise, and like it's only some dots, some lines, and just having probably in his mind already a great idea of the shapes that he wants to portray. And so when you see him draw, you really have all these different textures that start to form from just having different times in between the dots and the longer lines, a bit like a Morse code, but in a way more intricate way. And the overall scenes, they really feel somehow breathtaking. You often have this idea of a tiny character in front of a gigantic being, and a lot of scenes really take elements that we know of and tries to turn them around. This example of the sword as a gigantic city is a really nice example of that. But also just having these different perspectives and point of views on the same scene, which really use slightly different styles. In a sense, it kind of reminds me of this anime that's, I think, quite well known, which is Mob Psycho, where they use a lot of different styles of animations. And it doesn't really matter, it doesn't break the coherence of the story. It just really adds a lot of interest, of visual interest, and it gives to the brain a lot of things to latch onto. And yeah, I really love this artist. I have a strong guess that I probably didn't make a great job trying to mimic his creations. But I feel like I have a better sense now of some of the things that I might be struggling with in order to try to maybe get closer to the ideas that his creations are able to portray. And yeah, the recording is already getting quite lengthy, so I think I'm gonna have to stop quite soon. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed these tiny doodles and this tiny trial at learning some new things from AShipWright. There will probably be some links in the description, but I'm guessing that most of you probably already know this artist or have seen some of his creations. I wish you a nice day, and I'll see you next time for some new pathways, hopefully, or some new tiny tales.